What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back with another Four Corners for today's 5-game MLB main slate, courtesy of Awesemo.com. We got 5 games today and one of the worst pitching slates that we've had on the Four Corners in a while. So right now, help us out. Let's get that power of positivity in the air and hit that like button, as well as subscribe to the channel if you want your chance to win a free week of Awesemo Plus, courtesy of Awesemo. You can hit that like button and comment your double dong pick down below. Nobody guessed Buster Posey in our last Four Corners video. It's your time now. It's your time to shine today on a 5-game slate. So if there is a double dong today, win your free week of Awesemo Plus by liking this video and commenting your double dong pick down below. One quick bit of housekeeping. It looks like the Four Corners is going to go back on ice because I am needed in the MLB Live before Lock Street. So today, tomorrow, going to be the last couple Four Corners, at least until NBA season ends. So let's enjoy every moment we have together. And again, make sure you comment those double dong picks. So hopefully we can give away one free week of Awesemo Plus before the Four Corners goes back on the shelf. But even when my content schedule is being shifted around in the name of more quality MLB content, we've got no time to waste here on the Four Corners. So let's get right into our first corner of the top stacks on today's slate, which has always come straight from our top stacks tool created by Awesemo Baker. And the top stack today looks like the Red Sox versus the Mariners with 5.4 implied runs, a 15.2% chance of being the top stack, and 12.3% ownership expected. Boston has less ownership than their chances of being the top stack, and they face Justin Dunn, a pitcher with a 6.5 xFIP since 2019. Dunn has been obliterated by lefties in particular with a 7.8 xFIP and 243 ISO allowed to lefty hitters. So guys like Xander Bogaerts with a 5.6% home run rate versus right-hand pitching seem like a priority play if you are playing the Sox. Our next to the top stacks looks like the Mets at the Cubs with 4.7 implied runs, a 14.3% chance of being the top stack, and 17.8% ownership expected. The Mets project to be somewhat overowned against Trevor Williams, a pitcher who's shown some signs of life this year. The projected lineup looks good with a 202 aggregate ISO, and right hitters could feast against Williams with a 243 ISO he allows to that side of the plate, and with the wind blowing out at Wrigley. The stack looks solid, but you can also go to a low-owned Williams as leverage, going against the Mets' high ownership in tournaments. And our last of the top stacks looks like the Cubs versus the Mets with 4.8 implied runs, a 10.4% chance of being the top stack, and just 5% ownership expected. The Cubs look more underowned on FanDuel than DraftKings, but they're in play on both sites against Joey Lucchesi, a pitcher with a league average 22.9% K rate since 2019. Chris Bryant, Wilson Contreras, and Javier Baez look more appealing as mini stacks, with all 3 hitters over a 242 ISO versus left-hand pitching. But any Cubs hitters can be leveraged against a very popular Lucchesi today on DraftKings. And now into our next corner, the top pitchers on the slate, which again, curated by our top pitchers tool, created by Awesemo Baker. And the top pitcher today looks like Walker Buehler versus the Padres with a 31% chance of being the top pitcher and 44% ownership expected. Buehler is arguably the only pitcher with actual strikeout talent on the slate, and he'll be owned like it on all the sites today. Buehler has a 28% K rate since 2019 that's fallen over the last season to 25% since 2020. But he's still the best pitcher on the slate, even if he's less appealing than the usual stud pitchers on an average MLB day. Our next to the top pitchers looks like Nick Pivetta versus the Mariners with a 26% chance of being the top pitcher, along with 42% ownership. Pivetta will be wildly owned on DraftKings in particular as the SP2 of the day thanks to a matchup against a mediocre Mariners team with 6 guys who strike out above league average. The Mariners stack will also be highly owned as leverage against Pivetta's 235 ISO allowed since 2019. So this overall is a very volatile spot that almost 2/3 of the field will roster either side of. So perhaps it's a situation to leave both parts out of your lineup to get different in tournaments. And our last of the top pitchers today looks like Aaron Sanchez versus the Marlins with a 23% chance of being the top pitcher, along with 37% ownership. Much like every pitcher on the slate, Aaron Sanchez looks overowned relative to his talent level with a 19% K rate. Sanchez is a league average pitcher with a 3.1% home run rate since 2019. So his biggest ability is hanging in games and not giving up a ton of production. A situation where he looks fine relative to the slate, but he could be worth stacking a value-heavy Miami lineup against him in some lineups just to get different in GPPs. And now onto our next corner, the top owned players on today's slate. And of course, these come from the ownership projections that you can get for yourself at awesemo.com/join. The top owned play today looks like Walker Buehler versus the Padres with 44% ownership on DraftKings, first overall, and 37% ownership on FanDuel, also first overall. As mentioned earlier, Buehler is the best pitcher on the slate, but not as impressive as the usual stud pitching plays. You should be able to easily afford him, and he seems unlikely to kill you despite a tough matchup against the Padres, with only 3 guys who strike out above league average in their lineup. Our next to the top owned plays is Mike Trout at the Astros with 36% ownership on FanDuel, good for second overall, and 23% ownership on DraftKings. Trout will once again be chalk on FanDuel while still being highly owned on DraftKings. It's hard to argue, as always, given his 388 ISO versus right-hand pitching, but opposing pitcher Christian Javier has wielded a 32% K rate and a low .72 whip versus righties in his limited MLB sample size so far, so maybe it's a tougher matchup than people realize. And our last of the top-owned plays is Nick Pivetta versus the Mariners with 42% ownership on DraftKings, second overall, and 17% ownership on FanDuel. Pivetta has a matchup that's easy on paper, but his own ability is limited with a just under league average 22.8% K rate since last season and a 235 ISO allowed since 2019. It's a mutually volatile situation with both Pivetta and Mariner stacks highly owned. As I mentioned earlier, it could be wise to avoid the matchup entirely in a portion of lineups just to get different from the GPP fields. And now into our last corner, the one where we have to get real weird on a 5-game slate. It's the low-owned dart throws that appeal to me, Chris Spags. And our first low-owned dart throw is going to be Taylor Trammell from the Mariners. Trammell has shown pop in a very limited sample size with a 344 ISO versus right-hand pitching, while Nick Pivetta gives up a 240 ISO and a 4.6% home run rate to lefties. Trammell is cheap and an unknown part of Seattle stacks that could break up a chalky Pivetta's day. And my next low-owned dart throw is going to be a pitcher, Ryan Weathers from the Padres. Weathers faces the vaunted Dodgers lineup, and he's yet to pitch over 4 innings in a game, but his pitch counts have been on the rise, and he brings a 29.4% K rate in a limited sample size so far. A slate where the field's going to go heavy Nick Pivetta and Aaron Sanchez. I take some flyers on Weathers at the same price point, and hope he can pick up strikeouts fast. And our last low-owned dart throw is going to be Michael Brantley from the Astros. Houston will have a ton of ownership going to Alex Bregman and Yordan Alvarez, but Michael Brantley hits ahead of them in the order with a 218 ISO and a 150 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching. Alex Cobb is worse versus righties with a 257 ISO allowed, but he only strikes out 16.6% of lefties, and Brantley's capable of producing runs that leverage against his highly owned teammates at 1/3 of their expected ownership. So there you have it, one more 4 corners in the books with one more left to go before I return to those MLB Live Before Lock streets. So right now, hit that like button and give me a comment with your double dong pick, the guy you think is going to hit 2 home runs today down below. I want to give you guys that free week of Awesemo Plus. I want you to win it. So make sure to like the video and comment that double dong play in the comments below. I'll be back tomorrow, I think, with one more 4 corners. And then next week, tune into MLB Live Before Locks to catch me 4 out of 5 days. Hoping to give you guys the best information possible on there. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out all my other shows coming up today. The tip-off in particular will be up probably around the same time as this video is. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Sorry for all the 4 corners lovers out there who want to see this video going, but the MLB schedule has made it very difficult to get this video out in the way that I want it to be, that our team wants to be presented to you guys. So I appreciate you guys very much. Be back with you again very soon. So thanks for watching. Get that double dong pick right correctly in the comments below. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.